If I may ask a couple questions to the proponent of the bill.
You may, sir. You may proceed.
So the Connecticut State Constitution prohibits the state of Connecticut from granting any special privileges to any given entity or group. If we are going to allow the tribes to operate outside of the reservation, how would that not be violating, one, the Constitution, when, yes, they may not be violating the compact if they will have exclusive rights to operate outside of the reservation, but how could we at all possibly mitigate the significant potential for litigation that our state will be facing?
Representative Dargan.
Through you, thank you very much, the good representative. That's why this process is being slowed up, because there are some still outstanding issues that might have to be resolved that I stated earlier in reference to state and federal law, and that's why this is just an initial step that the tribes could at least have that opportunity to go talk to communities about the possibility of expansion of gaming. Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Bumgardner.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Speaker, the Attorney General did issue extensive opinions and thoughts on what would happen if the original bill as it was proposed, the impact it would have on our state and the potential for significant litigation in our state. Did his new letter address any of those concerns? If we come, the bill comes before the legislature next year that would highlight which municipality would be granted this municipality by the tribe. So I guess my question is, who would potentially, if the tribes provide the opportunities for, say 3 municipalities to open a casino, what does the new opinion that was given by the Attorney General, did he make any statements about what the potential for litigation would be? Through you.
Representative Dargan.
Through you, Madam Speaker, the letter that was dated yesterday to our good speaker talks about the amended version of this of 1080, and this bill that's before us tonight does not authorize the expansion of casino gaming within our state. It just, and he goes on to say that it will have no impact on the current agreement between the tribes, the state, and the federal government. Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Bumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And through you, Madam Speaker, what jobs in southeastern Connecticut would be protected even though most of those jobs would be shifted hypothetically to different regions of the state? So what number of jobs would be protected under any given scenario? Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Dargan.
Through you, Madam Speaker, some of the information that was shared to me that stated that there would not only be more jobs that would be developed, and they wouldn't necessarily come from the 2 Native American tribes, but they would be new opportunities for jobs. I don't have the actual number because we actually don't have a proposal on the square footage, the size of it. We just have broad-based figures of how many VLTs, better known as slot machines, and/or table games that might be there. So I can't give you an accurate number of jobs, but there'll be a substantial increase of jobs within our state. Through you.
Representative Bumgardner.
So through you, Madam Speaker, I appreciate those questions, but again, what jobs would be saved in southeastern Connecticut by passing this legislation? Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Dargan.
Through you, Madam Speaker, I don't necessarily know if you'll be increase a job, but what I could submit to you, if in fact we don't take any action and MGM looks at their market share, which comes from the Waterbury line down, the jobs in southeastern Connecticut and the figures I gave you earlier that have already decreased will decrease even more. And the revenue share that we receive from these two tribes will decrease even more. And the monies that go back to each one of our 169 communities that are all struggling will decrease more with us not taking any action and starting the process tonight. Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Bumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And again, I appreciate the chair's question. I do have one last question. If the market is continuously being saturated by casinos all throughout New England now, casinos and expanded gambling in Massachusetts, the potential for new casinos, say here in Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, how is it at all possible that any jobs will be saved if the supply of problem gamblers is not increasing? Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Dargan.
Through you, Madam Speaker, I heard the first part, but the second part referencing problem gambling, I wasn't sure where the proponent of the question. If he could just repeat it,
Could
please.
you repeat your question again, please, sir?
So through you, Madam Speaker, if the market of the supply of casinos throughout New England or the northeastern United States region is increasing exponentially with expanding gambling and 3 casinos that are going to be built in Massachusetts, more slots, systems or structures in Rhode Island, New York. If that market is now being saturated by more and more casinos or slots machines, and yet the supply of problem gamblers is not increasing, what jobs will be grown in a sustainable way for Connecticut for the next 10 years down the road? And I know that was in addition to the question I first proposed. So through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Dargan.
Through you, Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the question. I can't really look into the crystal ball and say how many jobs will be impacted, how many new jobs will develop, the issue of problem gambling. But I could submit if MGM has a casino 6 miles north of our border and their market share comes into Waterbury, we're going to have problems with problem gambling, folks. And you know what? We might not know who they are because they might not be gambling within our state. But they'll come back and we'll have concerns, as the 2 good representatives spoke early about the issue of problem gambling. We realize that it's a major issue and a concern. But the 2 tribes have been very proactive dealing with gambling issues, and they've done it by putting monies up. Nothing that the state told them to do, but monies that they put up along with the Connecticut Lottery Corporation. Whether it's gambling, drug addiction, alcohol abuse, any addiction, I think that it's a pretty fair assessment to say that we all take that very seriously, and we need to look at that. But my concerns are the loss of revenue, the loss of jobs, and we are in competition with our neighbors from Massachusetts. And the good representative did point out the saturation level. And the 2 tribes who've been the most successful tribes in the Western Hemisphere, private or Native American, they've really done a lot to our state in a lot of positive ways. There's been issues with alcohol, issues with people driving with drunken driving, and there's been other issues. But every time that I've had the opportunity to reach out to the tribes and to meet with them, never been negative. Always, let's try to figure it out. Let's be proactive. And they never came to the state looking for any handouts. And they put their money's where their mouth is on a number of issues. Through you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Bumgardner.
Through you, Madam Speaker, I want to take the opportunity to thank the good chairman of the Public Safety Committee for working on these issues, not just this year, but for many, many years. It's certainly a tough committee that I don't know I would ever want to serve on, given the nature of having conversations about expanding gambling. But the only number I care about right now is the amount of jobs that will be saved in southeastern Connecticut. And not one person can tell me the amount of jobs 10 years down the road, 25 years down the road that will be saved in southeastern Connecticut. Popular opinion shows that people in the state of Connecticut do not want expanded gambling, and I think it's very unfortunate that this legislature is debating this issue, yet we're also debating whether or not we're going to increase taxes on the folks who are working very hard, on our small businesses, and it just seems like we're living in a very backward state right now. So I will be voting no on this amendment. I implore all of my colleagues to vote no on this amendment. This is bad legislation for southeastern Connecticut. People are tired of the consequences that we're facing of having more and more gambling all throughout the United States, and especially in southeastern Connecticut. Those jobs are not going to come back. They never will come back. There are people who are coming up here who have jobs at these casinos, and it's unfortunate to mislead these individuals in telling them that their jobs will be saved in southeastern Connecticut. So I implore all of my colleagues to vote no on this amendment, and I thank the good chair again for engaging in a very respectful colloquy. So thank you very much.